Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 6, Battle for the True Inheritance. Chapter 15, 556, The Holy Spiritual Master Realm. 15th of Volume 6. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Blood Mud Space, Time Cocoon. After days of secluded cultivation, Li Wei had refined his heavenly surge soul to perfection. A radiant soul light materialized above his head, taking tangible form. Within the cocoon, Tang Wanzhou sensed the shift and opened her eyes. So fast. You've already completed refining your heavenly surge soul. Li Wei retracted the soul light into his body. Is that considered fast? The total time spent refining it within the cocoon was nearly a year. What about you? From obtaining the dragon soul source light in the East Sea until now, it took me half a year to fully refine a single unit, Tang Wanzhou replied. Li Wei remarked, does that mean you've been cultivating diligently for 10 years in the second realm? Tang Wanzhou paused thoughtfully. The claim that refining a unit of origin light saves 10 years of cultivation is actually an exaggeration. For some, refining a unit might indeed be comparable to 10 years of accumulated effort. But for me, perhaps it saved me about 3 years. I'm currently at the mid-stage of the second realm. Refining another unit should allow me to reach its peak. Li Wei secretly marveled at Tang Wanzhou's cultivation speed. Her claim that she could resolve the issues with Chu Yudian and the 12 Tai Yin envoys in 6 years wasn't arrogance, but a precise calculation. Even without the time cocoon, she would likely have caught up to Chu Yudian within 6 years. Tang Wanzhou stood up. Reaching the peak doesn't guarantee a breakthrough. The immortal shackle is the true challenge, one you must overcome yourself. You've likely noticed I possess a great opportunity, rivaling even the dragon soul source light. In the first realm, it was this opportunity that allowed me to rapidly cultivate to the peak within a year. The six thoughts divine mind curse wounded me, but with the Shaoyang star's aid, I shattered the soul return shackle and rebuilt myself, turning misfortune into blessing. The two emerged from the time cocoon, its light dissolving into shimmering motes. 5 phoenix-winged moth emperors were devouring the nourishing ingredients Lu Jingshan had provided. Big Phoenix and Second Phoenix, having broken through to immortal realm with the aid of 6,000-year-old millennium essence herbs, now towered over the other 5 phoenixes, radiating an air of transcendence. They stood upright on their hind claws, pacing the blood-mud space with the dignified bearing of true masters, seemingly detached from the food frenzy. Li Wei turned to Tang Wanzhou. Young lord, you've clashed with countless immortal realm martial mystic cultivators. Your judgment is unparalleled. What level of power do you think these two have reached? Could they defeat Chang Yujian, assuming they're at the same cultivation stage? Probably not. Chang Yujian is unmatched among imperial disciples of his realm, excelling in wisdom, spiritual artifacts, and Dao techniques. Tang Wanzhou stroked the approaching Big Phoenix, but Chang Yujian won't find it easy to deal with them, even in a one-on-one confrontation. You understand the true danger of these rare insects better than I do. The two crossed the spirit world barrier and emerged above the Tanggu Sea. Li Wei leapt onto a Zaihe flower, retrieving a spirit platform blazing star stone the size of a pigeon's egg and a holy spiritual pill. The upcoming breakthrough was crucial. While success in his first attempt to become a holy spiritual master would be gratifying, failure would be normal. Meanwhile, Tang Wanzhou donned the purple governor's robe she had obtained in Lingxiao City. Her expression was unusually grave as she slowly walked across the waves, step by step, toward the Fusong divine tree. Gradually, her figure blurred into the misty sea. Her intentions remained unclear. After half an hour, Li Wei adjusted his mindset, purging all distractions and pressure to achieve perfect calm. Influenced by his mental state, the surrounding sea transformed into a 10-mile-wide water mirror, its surface utterly still. He pinched the spirit platform blazing star stone and absorbed it into the spirit realm between his eyebrows. The tricolored spiritual light flame that filled the spirit realm converged in wisps toward the spirit platform blazing star stone, gradually melting it into a liquid droplet. The spirit light intensified within the droplet, growing increasingly bright before beginning to orbit the other 9 Neonli psychic power stars. A resonance gradually formed. Rumble. The luminous droplet and the 9 Neonli psychic power stars trembled violently, requiring Li Wei's full concentration to maintain control. Many spiritual masters who forcibly attempted breakthroughs, refusing to accept failure, often ended up shattering their Neonli stars. Some even caused their spirit realms to explode, their heads to burst open, and their lives to end on the spot. As time passed, the spirit realm gradually stabilized. The 10th Neonli spiritual power star, still in its liquid state, resonated with the other 9, their luminous mists intertwining and circulating in harmony. The first dangerous hurdle had been successfully overcome. Now, all that remained was to continuously refine the liquid Neonli psychic power star until it solidified. During the condensation of the 10th Neonli psychic power star, the second dangerous hurdle arrived. Li Wei felt a throbbing pain between his eyebrows, as if flesh were being burned or his skull were expanding, threatening to shatter at any moment. A spiritual master's spirit realm was merely a square inch in size. A great spiritual master's spirit realm reached a square foot. A spiritual master's spirit realm expanded to a square zhong, approximately 10 square feet. But a holy spiritual master's spirit realm would expand to a terrifying 100 square zhong, approximately 1,000 square feet. In terms of size, it was a million times larger than a spiritual master's square zhong spirit realm. It's worth noting that Zhuoqiu Hongting was an exception. She possessed a great opportunity within the spiritual master domain, and the remnant lamp between her eyebrows was extraordinary. As a result, she had already cultivated an unimaginable spirit realm. Li Wei had once glimpsed it, her spirit realm stretched endlessly, without boundaries. Clearly, she hadn't cultivated it herself. Boom. The spirit realm trembled violently for the first time, and the barrier of the innate world instantly expanded severalfold. The Fusang divine tree spirit light manifested within the spirit realm, supporting the expanded barrier. After adapting, the spirit realm experienced its second massive tremor, expanding several times beyond its original size. The third came swiftly, giving Li Wei no time to fully adjust before it expanded again. He could only desperately support the Fusang divine tree spirit light to prevent the spirit realm from collapsing. The fourth. The fifth. During the ninth expansion, Li Wei's entire body tensed and trembled, his face drained of color. A crack appeared between his eyebrows, and a drop of blood seeped out. The danger of breaking through to become a holy spiritual master far exceeded his expectations. He knew the reason. Other 9-star spiritual masters had cultivated for decades, their spirit world barriers nourished for just as long. But he, even counting his time in the time cocoon, had only trained for a few years. Every gain comes with a cost. Rapid cultivation inevitably exposes weaknesses elsewhere. Take Tang Wanzhou, for example. Her progress in the martial mystic Dao was second only to Li Wei himself. As a result, she had no time to cultivate psychic power and had only mastered 2 Dao techniques. Boom. The 10th expansion arrived. Blood streamed from Li Wei's forehead, his vision darkening. He gritted his teeth, desperately clinging to consciousness and guarding his sanity. As long as he controlled the Fusang divine tree spirit light, the spirit realm wouldn't collapse. What followed was an agonizing battle of control and endurance, each moment stretching into an eternity. Hold steady. The 100 Zhong spirit realm expansion was complete. The Fusang divine tree spirit light, now 100 Zhong tall, its branches and leaves flourishing, supported the innate world with radiant splendor. The 10th Nianli psychic power star had solidified into a solid state. Like 10 blazing suns, the 10 Nianli psychic power stars hovered above the Fusang divine tree, ceaselessly revolving. Whoosh! The radiant light of heaven and earth surged relentlessly toward him, converging between his eyebrows. It flowed into the 10 Nianli psychic power stars and the Fusang divine tree spirit light, causing them to grow rapidly. Next, he had to endure the third and most dangerous trial during this growth process, the spirit soul fusion. Even though Li Wei had refined his heavenly surge soul to its full potential, manifesting it in solid form, it remained fragile. Merging the soul's luminous essence with the Fusang divine tree spirit light's scorching, domineering energy was an extremely dangerous undertaking. Many 9-star spiritual masters who had overcome the first 2 trials fell at this final hurdle. Now, the holy spiritual pill would prove its worth. After swallowing the pill, wisps of pill radiance rose from his abdomen, flowing toward the heavenly surge soul and the Fusang divine tree spirit light in his spirit realm. These radiant strands enveloped both entities, simultaneously forging a bridge between them. The spirit-soul fusion had officially begun. Tang Wanzhou had already traveled 600 li toward the Fusang divine tree. Gurgle. Gradually, the seawater began to boil, sending steam rising into the air. A crimson-gold radiance erupted from the seabed, accompanied by an aura of overwhelming power that surged toward the surface. Tang Wanzhou didn't retreat. Her gaze remained resolute as the golden crow burst from the water. Instead, she spread her arms wide, closed her eyes, and embraced the impending destructive force. Moments later, she was engulfed in the golden crow flame. An hour later, the golden crow had long since departed. Tang Wanzhou, wearing a specially crafted mask, returned step by step. The skin of her hands, neck, and feet, exposed beyond the governor's robe, was scorched and bloodied. The power of the golden crow flame had seeped into her body, coursing through her veins, sending waves of agony through every nerve. She looked like she had just crawled out of hell, disheveled, unable to stand straight, and limping. Yet her eyes remained bright, like true gold refined by fire. Suddenly, Tang Wanzhou sensed a powerful surge of qi emanating from the horizon. She froze, gazing into the distance. Whoosh! The Fusang divine tree, hundreds of meters tall, rose from the sea, its radiant light illuminating the sky. Fiery clouds painted the sky. Ripples of spirit light spread outward, stirring the ocean into towering waves. She swiftly straightened her posture, striving to appear proud and indomitable. With her hands clasped behind her back, she rode a river of spiritual qi back to the sea where Zaihe resided. Li Wei, bathed in a luminous glow, had already donned his mask before Tang Wanzhou's return, concealing his pale face and the wound between his eyebrows. He refused to let the renowned Heaven's chosen daughter witness his weakened, disheveled state. Tang Wanzhou's steps were steady, showing no signs of injury. Impressive. You achieved a breakthrough on your first attempt. Congratulations on reaching the Holy Spiritual Master Realm. If you return to Lingxiao, you'll be a great power. In any life realm, you'll be a respected powerhouse. With 300 years of lifespan, you could even serve as an official in the imperial court of a kingdom ruled by a martial mystic Dao Heavenly Emperor. All 3 top recruits of the Spiritual Master Guard successfully broke through, Li Wei remarked. This shows the Holy Spiritual Master barrier isn't as difficult as we thought. Why are you wearing a mask? It helps me focus during breakthroughs. Li Wei appeared calm and composed as he gracefully floated out of Zaihe. Why are you wearing a mask too? He asked. For the same reason as you. After returning, Tang Wanzhou concealed her hands within her sleeves, her body constantly enveloped in dense spiritual qi. Send me out now. I must leave. This departure marks our final farewell at Cave Void Dongshu Camp. I promised you a talisman. Wait for me a bit longer. About an hour. Li Wei activated the time cocoon, entered it, and began refining an all-secret incantation immobilization talisman at the Holy Spiritual Master Realm. Seizing the opportunity, Tang Wanzhou sat cross-legged and meditated, healing her injuries. Just as Li Wei channeled his Holy Spiritual Master level psychic power into the Dao Ancestors Tai Chi fish to activate the time cocoon, Yuer, who was with the 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors, heard something. She slowly rose to her feet and gazed into the distance. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 6, Battle for the True Inheritance. Chapter 16, 557, There's a Ghost. 16th of Volume 6. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. In her vision, the blood mist at the edge of the blood mud space receded rapidly, revealing a Xiaoyang star that had expanded far beyond its previous boundaries. The flat, blood-soaked earth stretched endlessly, and a rocky hill emerged on the horizon. A faint, peculiar sound drifted from behind the hill. Only Yuer heard it, the others remained oblivious. She strained her ears, and the sound grew clearer, terrifying her. Her face paled as she glanced at the cocoon of time, then she hurried over and crouched beside it. Sizzle. Sizzle. The talismans were constantly being destroyed, either burning to ashes or shattering into fragments. Having reached the Holy Spiritual Master Realm, Li Wei's all-secret incantation immobilization talisman runes had become incredibly complex. He nearly exhausted his entire supply of transcendent bone talisman paper before finally crafting a single successful talisman. The materials alone for this one talisman were worth over 1 million Yongquan coins. Maintaining such intense focus while drawing the talismans had drained Li Wei's psychic power, leaving his face even paler and his head throbbing. Emerging from the cocoon of time with a nonchalant air, he handed the all-secret incantation immobilization talisman to Tang Wanzhou. I hope I haven't kept you waiting too long. Apart from the scorched skin that needed time to heal, Tang Wanzhou's injuries had largely recovered. Without a hint of pretense, she accepted the talisman. If I kill Qin Zhengyang, I'll definitely ask the Deputy Sentinel Lord for a 6,000-year-old essence herb. You'll get a share of the credit. I'm off. Master. Yuer suddenly stood up, clutching Li Wei's arm, her eyes wide with fear. There are ghosts here, she said earnestly, I don't want to stay. Li Wei's head still swam with dizziness. He pointed to the 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors. Don't be afraid, Yuer. None of them fear ghosts. They'll protect you. Wait for me. Master will be back soon. Feng stood upright on its hind legs, its claws patting forward. It tapped Yuer's arm with one claw and declared proudly, I, Feng, specialize in devouring ghosts. Old Li has seen it himself. Whoosh. Li Wei and Tang Wanzhou returned to their room in the Dragon City Heavenly Pavilion. Before you leave, do me a favor and erase all the mess in this room, she said as she was about to depart. After seeing Tang Wanzhou off, Li Wei collapsed from exhaustion, sinking into a wooden chair. He removed his mask, revealing that the wound on his forehead had already healed. If Lu Jingshan were to see him now, he would undoubtedly lecture him about taking care of his body. Li Wei closed his eyes, then opened them again. It felt like only a moment had passed, but the bright daylight outside had given way to pitch darkness. Regaining his composure, Li Wei remained slumped in the chair, pondering his next move. He had done all he could to help. He trusted that Tang Wanzhou's extraordinary innate talent had allowed her to survive this long, and that she didn't need his protection. Such high-level conflicts were beyond his ability to intervene. Having achieved his goal of breaking through to become a holy spiritual master realm and reaching Dragon City, it was time to return home. Yet 2 matters lingered in his mind. The first task was to dispel the death spirit fire from the water beaver immortal. A promise made must be kept. Through the death spirit fire, he had already sensed the water beaver immortal's approximate location, Dragon Island. He stood up, ready to leave. Suddenly, he noticed something on the dark wall and stopped. Tang Wanzhou's parting words echoed in his mind. Whoosh! A spiritual light flicked from his fingertip, igniting the lamp painted with the image of the Divine Daughter. The wall was covered in chaotic patterns and lines, some extending to the floor. Li Wei moved his feet and discovered characters inscribed beneath his feet. At the center of the wall was an irregular circle. After studying the surrounding lines for a long time, Li Wei realized it represented Dragon Island. He then found labels such as, Dragon Island Calamity Crossing, Immortal Tomb Rice Mother Tower, South Ferry, West Ferry, and more. The more Li Wei examined it, the more intrigued he became. He realized Tang Wanzhou was deducing the meeting place between Qin Zhengyang and the Rice Palace's true disciple. The final marked location was the West Ferry, circled heavily. Dragon City is vast, Dragon Island immense. How could she deduce that Qin Zhengyang and the Rice Palace's true disciple would meet here? Possessing secret intelligence. No, the Snow Sword Tang Court's influence here is too weak to help her. She wouldn't dare use the Sentinel Spirit Army's intelligence network either, for fear of alerting the enemy or even being discovered by the Tai Yin sect in advance. Li Wei pondered deeply. If he were Qin Zhengyang, coming to Dragon Island to secretly deliver a secret treasure to the Rice Palace's true disciple, what factors would he consider? Using spiritual light, he cleared all the chaotic marks from the walls and left the room. Li Wei refused to believe his intellect was inferior to Tang Wanzhou's. He was determined to figure this out. As he walked down the corridor, he spotted Lu Jingshan sitting alone in a pavilion at the corner, drinking wine. Two maids stood on either side of the pavilion's stone steps, bowing in unison and calling out in clear voices, "Greetings, Lord Li." Lu Jingshan's face was flushed, his eyes slightly glazed. He turned to see Li Wei approaching and quickly called out, "Brother Li, come join me for a drink. I'm feeling terribly suffocated, my heart feels so heavy. You too, withdraw." Li Wei entered the pavilion. "Third brother Lu, why are you drinking alone in such low spirits? With your immortal realm cultivation and your status, what could possibly be troubling you?" Lu Jingshan's eyes were cold as he gripped his wine cup tightly. "Second brother won't help me avenge them, and he forbids me from seeking revenge myself. He says the Tai Yin sect can summon armies from the entire nether realm of the dead, acting as enforcers for forbidden ones deep within the netherworld. If Thousand Mile Mountain provokes a Tai Yin envoy, it will invite their relentless retaliation. Our vast network of businesses across the world would suffer devastating losses. He also claims the mastermind who commissioned the hit from the Tai Yin sect, a rival, has already been executed. He says the matter is settled. But it's not. I can't let it go. I can't. Xie Wumian killed Uncle and those Dao Seed Realm soldiers and maids who had served me for years. They all had families, fathers, children, siblings, and they died right before my eyes, every single one of them. I can't even bring myself to go home now. How am I supposed to face their families? And those controlled martial mystic cultivators. The moment I close my eyes, they appear before me. How can I move on? Tell me, how can I move on? It's not that I haven't weathered storms before. It's that I can't forget. I'm guilty of terrible sins, ambition, arrogance, self-righteousness." He slapped himself repeatedly, tears streaming down his face. Li Wei grabbed his arm. "Third brother Lu, you're drunk. He's my brother. Those people died because of him. How can he be so cold? So indifferent? Uncle and taught us the fundamentals of cultivation since we were children. And now Uncle and is dead. He's just afraid of losing his position as the Earth Ranking's chief scribe. The higher their cultivation, the colder they become. They're all the same. They're all fucking the same." Lu Jingshan roared, crushing the wine cup in his hand with a smash. Whoosh! Lu Jingshan's figure materialized in the pavilion, and he tapped Lu Jingshan on the forehead. Lu Jingshan immediately lost consciousness and collapsed onto the table. Lu Jingshan turned to Li Wei. His cultivation realm has reached the peak of the first realm and he's attempting to break through the soul return shackle. This shackle is closely tied to one's spiritual consciousness, so cultivators in this stage often behave this way. Brother Li, I apologize for the spectacle. Two maids helped Lu Jingshan away. The two men walked side by side along the corridor. You're leaving tomorrow? Lu Jingshan asked, surprised. He took 3 steps forward, then paused to consider his words carefully. Brother Li, before you depart, could you do me a favor? I will repay you handsomely in the future. Li Wei chuckled self-deprecatingly. With my meager cultivation, what favor could I possibly do for second young Master Lu? Brother Li, there's no need for false modesty. At your age, escaping from Xie Wumian and Luo Pingdan is a feat that would make you famous throughout the land, Lu Jingshan said. I want you to come with me to meet Qin Zhengyang. A storm raged in Li Wei's heart as he stopped and turned to look at Lu Jingshan. Qin Zhengyang has already arrived in the East Sea and sent me a formal invitation, Lu Jingchen continued. He claims the Tai Yin sect is willing to return the reward money my competitor paid them, hoping to dispel this feud. Li Wei sighed inwardly for Lu Jingchen. So many lives lost, yet the Tai Yin sect thought returning the reward money would dispel the feud so easily. This is also an opportunity for me to gauge his true strength, Lu Jingchen said, to see where he's injured, what his weaknesses are. Ultimately, I want to determine his rightful place on the Earth ranking. Li Wei wasn't foolish. He immediately understood Lu Jingchen's true intentions and looked at him with a strange expression. The Tai Yin sect is universally reviled. How dare Qin Zhengyang contact you so openly? Doesn't he fear you'll betray his location and lead to his death? Lu Jingchen smiled. He's betting I wouldn't dare offend the Tai Yin sect, and he's right. If Qin Zhengyang dies because of me, the Heavenly Pavilion and Immortal Grove will lose at least dozens of branches within a month, not to mention other assets. The Tai Yin sect's methods are ruthless, and they can command the army of the dead. Only the Sentinel Spirit Army has the means to counter them, knowing their every move and possessing the resolve to fight them to the bitter end. Enough of that. Lu Jingchen continued, to resolve this conflict, Jing Shen must accompany me. But as you can see, he's already lost his mind. I've heard you're skilled in the disguise technique, Brother Li, and I dare to ask for your help. Could you transform into his likeness and come with me on this mission? Li Wei asked, for how long? He's extremely cautious. He instructed me to go to the western shore of the East Sea at midnight tonight. Someone will guide me from there, but he didn't specify the exact location. Lu Jingchen added, this matter concerns the vast interests of Thousand Mile Mountain, as well as my future and my life. I implore you, Brother Li, to keep it secret. Li Wei forced a wry smile. Even if he wanted to tell Tang Wanzhou, he couldn't find her now. How am I supposed to find her? Can Feng track her down? Or should I go to the West Ferry? For now, Li Wei put those thoughts aside and agreed to help Lu Jingchen. Then, remembering the second matter weighing on his mind, he asked, Second Brother Lu, you've been in Dragon City for quite some time. Have you seen the Rice Palace's true disciple or Chu Yudian? Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 6. Battle for the True Inheritance. Chapter 17 558 Before Departure. 17th of Volume 6. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. I arrived a few days late and missed the most sensational meeting of the younger generation, Lu Jingchen said. He continued, later, I visited the Rice Mother Tower's encampment near the Immortal Tomb. I didn't see her true form, but I sensed her immense cultivation, her chi reaching the heavens. I know what you're suspecting, Brother Li. Based on her cultivation realm, she couldn't possibly be the person you're looking for. Since Lu Jingchen had investigated Li Wei, he naturally knew that the ancestor of the Zhang clan in the Lingxiao realm was none other than the former hall master of the Twin Rice sect's Heaven Valley Tianjia Hall. He would also be aware of Li Wei's close relationship with Zhang Ning. With just a casual question, Li Wei's true intentions had been exposed. The Lu brothers' personalities and temperaments were truly worlds apart. Li Wei's eyes showed confusion as he asked, the greatest conflict in this world is the struggle between life and death. For all life realms, the greatest threat is the nether realm of the dead, a matter of survival, a blade constantly hanging over our heads. I'm curious. Since the Taiyan sect serves the nether realm of the dead, shouldn't they be the enemy of all life realms, and the most hated foe of the human race? What gives Chu Yutian the audacity to appear openly in Dragon City? Lu Jingchen replied solemnly, there are many rumors, making it difficult to discern the truth. Currently, there are two plausible theories. The first theory suggests that the Rice Palace, having suffered consecutive failures with their previous two true disciples, who were humiliated and disgraced, needed to make a statement with their third appointment. To restore their prestige, they chose Chu Yutian as their opponent, luring him to Dragon City under the guise of trading Dragon Soul Source Light, with the intention of assassinating him. But they failed. The second theory posits that the Rice Palace's true disciple, while trading Dragon Soul Source Light with Chu Yutian in Dragon City, was initially unaware of his true identity. However, they quickly deduced it, and within days, Chu Yutian's true appearance was exposed across all life realms, making it impossible for him to openly show his face again. Lu Jingchen continued, the full truth likely remains known only to those involved. However, the battle between the Rice Palace's true disciple and Chu Yutian can be considered a draw, with each side suffering losses and securing gains. Chu Yutian undoubtedly obtained the Dragon Soul Source Light, but at the cost of revealing his true identity. The Rice Palace's true disciple failed to kill Chu Yutian in Dragon City. Moreover, Chu Yutian, having obtained the Dragon Soul Source Light, will undoubtedly advance his cultivation significantly. Of course, given the Taiyan sect's true disciples' methods, acquiring Dragon Soul Source Light from elsewhere shouldn't be too difficult. During the excavation of the ancient immortal dragon remains, many immortal realm martial mystic cultivators had obtained dragon soul source light. Li Huayi himself had acquired a wisp after killing Yao Qian, making it even easier for someone of Chu Yudian's cultivation level to obtain it. In Li Huayi's view, the Rice Palace's true disciple's greatest failure was his inability to kill Chu Yudian in Dragon City, assuming, of course, that the true disciple truly possessed the resolve to do so. After all, killing Chu Yudian would only bring temporary fame and reshape the Rice Palace's image, while the consequences would be entirely negative. Suddenly, a thought flashed in Li Huayi's mind. Could the secret treasure Qin Zhengyang had sent be the reason Chu Yudian managed to escape Dragon City? Lu Jingqian was clearly unaware of the secret transaction between Qin Zhengyang and the Rice Palace's true disciple during the Lantern Festival. This information had been relayed by a Sentinel Spirit Army expert infiltrating the Taiyan sect and was classified as top secret. At the fourth quarter of the Shu hour, 2 hours before midnight, Li Huayi drove his carriage away from the Heavenly Pavilion, heading toward the demon race's territory in Dragon City. Having reached the Holy Spiritual Master Realm, his senses had been significantly enhanced, even without actively using psychic power. With his eyes closed, he could perceive the pedestrians, demon beasts, vegetation, and buildings lining the surrounding streets, all vividly present in his mind. Their conversations flowed into his ears like a tide, the rhythm of their breathing pushing the air, and even their gazes and emotions became palpable. Instead of releasing Second Phoenix to search for Tang Wanzhou, Li Huayi pulled out a map of the East Sea and studied it intently, lost in thought. There's a way to treat friends, he mused, and a way to deal with enemies. If he had promised Lu Jingqian his loyalty, yet secretly betrayed him, placing him in mortal danger. Who would ever trust Li Huayi again? That was one reason. Secondly, the western coast of the East Sea, including parts of the sea itself, was shrouded in the darkness of the Nether Realm. According to the map, the area was characterized by towering mountains, complex terrain, and dense, dark vegetation, making it a paradise for malevolent demons and dead spirits. No one knew if Qin Zhengyang had brought any fallen spirit powerhouses with him. If a confrontation occurred there, even if Tang Wanzhou managed to kill Qin Zhengyang, she would have no chance of escape. The carriage entered the desolate outskirts of Dragon City, where the lights and human voices faded away, leaving only silence and the ancient ruins. Massive stone pillars stood like a petrified forest, and dragon nests loomed like earthen hills. Swish! Swish! A dozen demon beasts materialized from the shadows, blocking Li Huayi's path. Humans, this area is restricted. Beyond this point lies the core territory of the demon race. Some had shrimp tails, others crab claws, and there were even 8-legged fish, all armed with spears and halberds, their expressions haughty. I'm here to see the water otter immortal. Tell him it's Brother Ren, Li Huayi's calm voice drifted from the carriage. You think you can just come in and demand an audience with the immortal crown prince? Brother Ren, brother dog, brother cat, whatever you call yourself, leave now, or we'll sever your head. 2 shrimp demons brandished their spiritual artifact halberds, attempting to drive away the dead spirit beasts pulling the carriage. How troublesome. Without showing my strength, I can't even take a single step. Li Huayi unleashed a burst of spiritual light, sending the 2 shrimp demons flying dozens of meters away. The remaining beasts were forced back by the surging light waves emanating from the carriage. The demons were terrified, realizing they had encountered a formidable opponent. Ren, you'll pay for this. If you've got the guts, don't run. A pitch-black octopus, its 8 tentacles churning through the air, darted down the city streets that sloped toward the sea. It plunged into the water and raced toward the newly constructed underwater jellyfish palace. Moments later, the water beaver immortal and the octopus arrived at breakneck speed, their eyes fixed on the carriage parked in the middle of the street. Is that Brother Ren? The water beaver immortal asked. I've come to fulfill my promise, Li Huayi replied in his own voice. Hearing this, the water beaver immortal's heart surged with excitement. He smacked the octopus's head with his tiny paw. You blind fools. That's Brother Ren. Even Crown Prince Ba and Her Highness the Princess, even they would treat him as an honored guest. Brother Ren, don't lower yourself to these petty squabbles. You're far too important for this. Come, let's move this inside. The water awaits. I'm pressed for time, Li Huayi said, let's just handle it here. After the water beaver immortal drove away all the demon beasts, he slipped into the carriage with a whoosh. His gaze fell upon Li Huayi, who was studying a map inside. With utmost respect, he asked, The Grand Palace Master isn't here, is she? Do you really think you can meet the Grand Palace Master so easily? Li Huayi replied. Li Huayi glanced at the water beaver immortal before extending a finger to extract the death fire from its body. Regret, if only I'd known she was the Grand Palace Master. The water beaver immortal sighed, my founding ancestor once traveled to Lingxiao City to pay respects to the Grand Palace Master. He stood at the foot of Phoenix Pavilion Mountain all night, only to be dismissed by a palace maid. As the water beaver immortal lamented, it suddenly sensed an extraordinary fluctuation of spiritual light emanating from Li Huayi. Brother Ren, have you already become a holy spiritual master? It exclaimed in surprise. Knowing too much won't do you any good, Li Wei replied, my presence in Dragon City must remain a secret. Understood. The water beaver immortal examined itself, confirming that the death fire had been completely purged. Feeling lighter, it said with emotion, Brother Ren, did you come all this way just to remove the death spirit fire for me? It was a simple matter, Li Wei replied. Now, go. The water beaver immortal lifted the carriage curtain, preparing to leave. Touched by Li Wei's selfless act, it couldn't help but offer a word of concern. Brother Ren, when you reach the Huang River, mention my name, it'll definitely work. Oh, and something big is about to happen on Dragon Island. You should leave immediately to avoid getting caught up in it. What's the big news? Li Wei asked. The water beaver immortal returned to the carriage, surprised, you haven't heard. The Rice Palace has enlisted the Taiyan sect's powerhouses to assassinate Xuanhuan, the transcendent overseeing Dragon Island for the Calamity Crossing Temple. Li Wei looked up from the map, pondering for a moment. That's impossible. Where would the Rice Palace get the audacity to defy the entire world on such a life and death matter? Where did you hear this? The water beaver immortal plopped down opposite Li Wei. This has been the talk of the town for days. They say the Rice Palace wants to seize greater control of the East Sea and needs to eliminate the Calamity Crossing Temple's influence. Some even claim the Taiyan sect has mobilized the 5 great ghost kings from the 7 vengeful plains, making this assassination a certainty. Haven't you noticed the entire Dragon Island is under lockdown? The atmosphere is incredibly tense. Whether it's true or not, the old guard of all the major powers have been alerted. You're the son-in-law of the Zhuoqiu sect, so you must be staying at the Calamity Crossing Temple's Dragon Island Taoist Temple, right? The clash of transcendence is terrifying, you should leave immediately. Li Wei didn't believe a word of it. Even if the Rice Palace truly intended to use the Taiyan sect to assassinate Xuanhuan, such a secret could never have been leaked. A thought struck Li Wei. How long ago did this news spread? He asked. 2 or 3 days ago, Water Beaver Immortal replied. Li Wei pondered for a moment, then a smile spread across his face. He was at least 70% certain that Tang Wanzhou had leaked this information. The cave void Dongshu camp had its weaknesses, but the Taiyan sect's vulnerabilities were far greater. Tang Wanzhou was leveraging the collective powers of the old powerhouses across Dragon Island to restrain Qin Zhengyang's potential allies, as well as any hidden Taiyan sect and fallen spirit powerhouses from the older generation. In the atmosphere she had created, any old powerhouse who dared show their face in the surrounding waters would likely meet a swift and ignominious end. At that moment, Li Wei fully understood why she had boldly deduced that Qin Zhengyang and the Rice Palace's true disciple would likely meet at the West Ferry. First, the city was under strict lockdown, with the Taiyan sect being rigorously hunted. This forced Qin Zhengyang to avoid setting foot on the island entirely. Second, the Rice Palace's true disciple, fearing betrayal by the Taiyan sect, wouldn't dare venture too far from Dragon Island. Qin Zhengyang, equally wary of being double-crossed by the Rice Palace and dying mysteriously, would undoubtedly choose a crowded location near Dragon Island's coast. This way, even if the Rice Palace resorted to treachery, the Taiyan sect would know exactly who to seek revenge against, preventing the matter from becoming a murky, unresolved affair. Thirdly, West Ferry was the closest point to the Nether Realm of the Dead, only 2,000 li from the West Sea. In case of trouble, they could retreat at maximum speed. Qin Zhengyang would never suspect an assassination attempt, let alone that his movements had already been leaked. Assassinating someone was easy, finding them was the challenge. Li Wei speculated that these were the reasons Tang Wanzhou had chosen West Ferry as the location, anticipating the mutual distrust between the Rice Palace and the Taiyan sect. Tang Wanzhou undoubtedly had other arrangements in place. Her only concern now was likely that Qin Zhengyang might be frightened off. Li Wei folded the map and turned to the Water Beaver Immortal. Is Your Highness the princess on Dragon Island? Yes. Her Highness has achieved breakthrough to Immortal Realm and successfully completed her transformation, the Water Beaver Immortal replied with a smile. Would you like to see her true form? Li Wei shook his head gently. Please deliver a message for me. Tell her that if anything happens at sea tonight, I hope Her Highness will repay her debt of gratitude. Also, let her know I don't have high hopes for this matter, but if she lends a hand, I will certainly reciprocate in the future. He said this purely to add another layer of insurance against unpredictable dangers. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Melworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 6. Battle for the True Inheritance. Chapter 18 559 Zhongwu Envoy, Qin Zhengyang. 18th of Volume 6. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. On his way back to the Heavenly Pavilion, Li Wei deliberately listened in on the conversations of martial mystic cultivators. He overheard them discussing the Tai Yin sect and the Dead Spirit's assassination attempt on Xuanhuan, their accounts detailed and seemingly credible. The nether realm of the dead has always coveted the immortal Dao dragon vein. First, they'll deal with the Calamity Crossing Temple alongside the Rice Palace. Then, they'll turn on the Rice Palace and the East Sea Demon Clan, defeating them one by one. Rumor has it that a high-ranking figure from the Rice Palace personally visited the Dragon Island Taoist Temple of the Calamity Crossing Temple to offer an explanation. They vowed to tear apart anyone spreading these rumors and have already launched a thorough investigation. Li Wei returned to the Heavenly Pavilion at the first quarter of high hour, 9:15 p.m. Lu Jingchen's carriage was already waiting at the entrance. The carriage was drawn by two dead soul spirit beasts, its silver-white body adorned with formation scriptures. Shall we depart now? Li Wei asked. Lu Jingchen nodded gently, handing Li Wei a black pearl while holding one himself. The sooner we leave, the better. Second brother Lu, please lead the way, Li Wei said. We won't be taking the carriage. Lu Jingchen instructed the elder driving the carriage, don't hurry. Just reach the West Sea by midnight. The empty dead soul spirit beast carriage rolled out, leaving the Heavenly Pavilion and heading west. Whoosh. Whoosh. Li Wei and Lu Jingchen activated the black pearls in their hands, and a phantom-like invisibility cloak enveloped them. They then departed Dragon Island from another direction, heading toward the West Sea. Li Wei trusted Lu Jingchen implicitly. Not because of Lu Jingchen himself, but because he believed the 10,000-mile tower wouldn't choose the wrong person. Knowing Li Wei's extraordinary relationship with Yu Yaozi, coupled with the Mist Heavenly Sovereign's return, Lu Jingchen could have easily forged a deep friendship with Li Wei. If he were to betray that trust for no reason, Li Wei would only conclude that he'd been kicked in the head by a donkey. Lu Jingchen was clearly shrewd, no donkey could kick him in the head. At sea, the two men moved swiftly, concealed from sight. Li Wei, disguised as Lu Jingchen, asked, Second brother Lu, do you not trust the Tai Yin sect? The 10,000-mile tower indeed wishes to avoid conflict with the Tai Yin sect. However, I am now the universally recognized chief scribe of the Earth ranking. If the Tai Yin sect were to harm me, both 1,000-mile mountain and the 10,000-mile tower would be compelled to respond, even if only to save face. Lu Jingchen continued, Wei, you must understand that every situation has two sides. While 1,000-mile mountain has vast holdings and fears retaliation, they are also immensely wealthy enough to hire transcendent experts, even the martial mystic Dao Heavenly Emperor himself. My reason for abandoning the carriage was to avoid ceding the initiative to others, as if I were being led by the nose. If he claims to want to dispel our grievances, and I obediently go along, what kind of man would that make me? Half an hour later, the two men entered a sea shrouded in the darkness of the netherworld. Here, the sea's surface showed a distinct boundary. On one side lay the golden mist emanating from the reviving immortal Dao dragon vein, while the other was pitch black and strange, punctuated by the distant, mournful roars of malevolent demons. After landing, they proceeded along a dark, dense forest. The forest's plants and trees were all highly poisonous. The tree trunks had mutated, sprouting countless iron-hard spikes. Strange creatures and Diak spirits darted through the darkness, their movements rustling through the undergrowth. Li Wei extended his senses, searching for traces of the Tai Yin sect's martial mystic cultivators, while Erfeng quietly sniffed for their vital energy. However, the dense miasma and potent yin energy severely weakened their perception. If they could find their opponents first, they could deliver a preemptive strike. This would give Lu Jingchen a significant advantage during the upcoming negotiations to resolve their grievances. The two traveled swiftly, scaling 6 or 7 treacherous mountains in succession. Finally, Erfeng communicated with a local fierce insect and obtained a clue. Lord Insect, it was terrifying. A giant rooster, huge. Chased us, pecking relentlessly. All the brothers in Insect Valley were terrified. The fierce insect recounted in insect language, which only Erfeng could understand. Upon hearing this, Li Wei suspected it was likely the giant rooster raised by Yin envoy Luo Pingdan. He instructed Erfeng to ask for the location of Insect Valley. Before long, Li Wei and Lu Jingchen arrived at a deep mountain valley 70 miles away. The valley entrance was littered with insect corpses, stained with blood. Deep claw marks, each over a foot long, scarred the ground. Sensing the vital energy of the Tai Yin sect's martial mystic cultivators, the two men, cloaked in invisibility, moved silently and deliberately toward the valley, which was thick with malevolent qi and miasma. At the base of a cliff deep within the valley, a fissure dozens of meters long stretched into the earth's depths. Li Wei raised his arm to stop Lu Jingchen, transmitting a silent message, the enemy is an immortal realm expert. Getting too close will alert them. Finding the location is enough. Let's leave. Lu Jingchen pondered for a moment before nodding in agreement. Stumbling upon some secret might only invite unnecessary trouble. As they turned to leave, Seventh Phoenix, reduced to the size of dust motes and still invisible, flew into the fissure. Deep within the fissure of Insect Valley, Luo Pingdan stood beside a blood pool, imbuing an immortal corpse at its center with spiritual light puppet inscriptions, performing some kind of ritual. Qin Zhengyang, his robust frame clad in dark crimson armor, stood with his hands clasped behind his back at the edge of the blood pool. A vivid circular mark, the Tai Yin seal, blazed between his brows, and his sharply defined features exuded an aura of unyielding authority. His mere presence radiated an unshakable force, as if he could single-handedly support a collapsing mountain. Zhou envoy Xie Wumian transformed into a silver streak of light, emerging from the stone wall and approaching Qin Zhengyang. His eyes held a hint of apprehension as he said, Lu Jingqian is almost here. Our informants report that his carriage is only 300 miles from the coast. Qin Zhengyang raised an eyebrow in surprise. Lu Jingqian isn't someone to be trifled with. He's ruthless, eliminating his rival's root and branch. If not for his ruthlessness, even the true disciples wouldn't have given him such deference, actively seeking reconciliation. Why would he suddenly become so obedient? Returning his commission was already a great honor. No one else has ever received such treatment. He understands the true disciple's power and knows better than to defy him. It's only natural for him to act accordingly. Xie Wumian continued, Dragon Island has activated many of its defensive formations. The major powers are on high alert, and our operatives are being systematically purged. Envoy Zhongwu suspects someone is spreading rumors about the assassination of Zhuang Xian. Who do you think is behind it? Qin Zhengyang replied, it's the thief crying, thief. The Calamity Crossing Temple is the prime suspect. Even the recent meeting between the Rice Palace's true disciple and the true disciple was twisted into a narrative of collaboration. They're trying to isolate the Rice Palace and drive them out of the East Sea. These Taoist cultivators are the most treacherous of all. Xie Wumian hesitated. Could it be true? Qin Zhengyang fell into deep thought. This isn't a question we should be pondering. My apologies for speaking out of turn, Xie Wumian quickly replied. Beside the blood pool, Luo Pingdan withdrew the spiritual light from between his brows, his face showing exhaustion. Envoy Zhongwu. It can now release blood and soul mist. Qin Zhengyang strode forward, slit his wrist, and released a stream of blood. The blood transformed into intricate crimson patterns that flowed toward the battle corpse puppet at the center of the pool. Gradually, crackling sounds emanated from within the puppet's body, and its features rapidly morphed into Qin Zhengyang's likeness. Sizzling sounds. As Qin Zhengyang released a wisp of soul mist, the puppet's eyes snapped open within the scarlet pool. It strode out of the blood-soaked water. Qin Zhengyang gazed at the battle corpse puppet across from him, which bore his exact features, and smiled. Remarkable. Truly remarkable. Even its vital energy and gaze are identical. With a clang, Qin Zhengyang stripped off his armor. The battle corpse puppet immediately donned it. Now it's even more convincing. Qin Zhengyang declared. Xie Wumian said, the envoy Zhongwu's plan is brilliant. By sending the puppet to meet the Rice Palace's true disciple, we can complete the true disciple master's mission while avoiding any personal risk. That vile creature truly humiliated the true disciple master last time, inflicting an unprecedented loss. Qin Zhengyang replied, this matter is of utmost importance and cannot afford any missteps. The puppet can deliver the item. But the Tai Yin seal. I must personally retrieve it to ensure its security. If anything goes wrong, the true disciple master's methods. Xie Wumian and Luo Pingdan's faces paled. The memory of the punishment for their failed mission to capture Lu Jingqian remained a harrowing experience they never wanted to relive. Li Wei and Lu Jingqian sat on a blue stone at the mountain peak, overlooking the valley below, feeling the eerie tranquility of the netherworld. Wei, you know, human nature is incredibly complex, Lu Jingqian said with a hint of helplessness. The higher one's cultivation, the less freedom they truly have. Because they understand the difficulty of cultivation, they know there are realms beyond realms. The more one possesses, the greater their fear of losing it. The higher their cultivation, the more they fear a single misstep that could destroy their progress. And the longer their lifespan, the greater their fear of death. Li Wei listened quietly with his left ear, while his right ear remained attuned to 7th Phoenix's reports. After a long silence, Lu Jingqian fell silent. Li Wei asked, Second brother Lu, have you ever heard of the Tai Yin seal? It's said to be the token of authority held by each generation's true disciple of the Tai Yin sect, Lu Jingqian replied, with this seal, one can summon the dead spirit armies from any netherworld. Why do you ask? Li Wei didn't know how to answer. Hearing a commotion, he glanced at the valley below. They're coming out. Lu Jingqian composed himself, his gaze deepening. He retracted his illusory invisibility cloak into its pearl, revealing his true form. The moment he materialized, Qin Zhengyang sensed his presence from miles away. He immediately halted and fixed his gaze in Lu Jingqian's direction. Shouldn't he still be at sea? Xie Wumian's pupils contracted in shock. Luo Pingdan said calmly, how did he find us so silently? Lu Jingqian called out, gentlemen, Lu Jingqian has arrived. Qin Zhengyang stepped forward with his left foot, scriptures shimmering across his leg. His figure transformed into a streak of light, instantly traversing several miles of mountainous terrain to appear atop the peak, where his foot gently landed. This was a true stride that spanned miles. Even Li Wei, when activating the governor's official robe in the Dao Seed realm, could only achieve this level of speed, and even then, he might not have been as fast. Qin Zhengyang stood enveloped in a cloud of spiritual qi, his vital energy as deep and unfathomable as a pitch-black abyss. As expected of the Earth Ranking's chief scribe, he said, his voice echoing through the mountains, your methods of deceiving the heavens are truly masterful. I, Qin Zhengyang, have experienced your welcome firsthand. How many experts from Thousand Mile Mountain have arrived? Xie Wumian and Luo Pingdan arrived shortly after, standing in the distant forest. Li Wei, disguised as Lu Jingshan, stood behind Lu Jingshan, glaring at Xie Wumian and Luo Pingdan with hatred. He noticed that Xie Wumian's severed arm had miraculously regrown. Martial mystic cultivators in the immortal realm are truly extraordinary, he thought. Xie Wumian, Luo Pingdan. Li Wei roared, return Uncle An's life. Return the lives of my guards and maids. Luo Pingdan smirked mockingly, completely disregarding Lu Jingshan. Instead, black mist billowed behind him, summoning the Dao Seed realm guards and maids Lu Jingshan had brought with him. These martial mystic cultivators, now corpses due to the silver rain corpse poison, emerged one by one from the black mist, their bodies cold and lifeless. Among them were Ning Zan, the maid Li Wei recognized, and Anjuro, Uncle An, his head missing. Very well, Luo Pingdan said, I'll return them all to you. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Melworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 6, Battle for the True Inheritance. Chapter 19 563 Palms. 19th of Volume 6. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. The sight before him drove Lu Jingshan into a frenzy, his voice cracking as he roared in fury. But Lu Jingshan, standing beside him, held him back firmly, urging him to calm down. Then, Li Wei repeated the drunken insults Lu Jingshan had hurled earlier, word for word. Qin Zhengyang calmly observed the Lu brothers, who seemed on the verge of a complete falling out. Third young Master Lu, please accept our condolences, he said, we are merely carrying out our orders. Yin Envoy, show some respect. We are here to return the deceased's bodies, not to escalate this conflict. Understood. Luo Pingdan, using his psychic radiance, manipulated the corpse-transformed martial mystic cultivators, guiding them toward the Lu brothers. Lu Jingshan gradually regained his composure, glaring coldly at Luo Pingdan and Xie Wumian at the edge of the forest. Stealthily, he opened his insect pouch, allowing Second Phoenix to memorize their sense. Lu Jingshan swept his sleeve, unleashing a torrent of radiant spiritual qi that surged like a gale, striking the corpse-transformed martial mystic cultivators. With a series of thuds, they collapsed to the ground, lying motionless and silent, their eyes closed in deathly peace. Li Wei recalled their encounter in the Nether Realm. The faces of some of those cultivators remained vividly etched in his memory, and he couldn't help but feel a genuine pang of sorrow. A few servants dying is of no consequence, Lu Jingshan said coldly, but if you continue to provoke me or dare to harm my brother again, I won't hesitate to drag you all down with me. Second young Master Lu truly possesses remarkable vision, Qin Zhengyang remarked, no wonder you defeated all the heavenly pride and claimed the top spot. Qin Zhengyang raised his arm, palm facing downward. A surge of martial mystic qi erupted from his palm, striking the ground. Though his hand didn't move, the surrounding mountains trembled slightly. Immediately, a cacophony of cracking earth filled the air as bone spirits and corpse spirits crawled from the depths. A humanoid bone spirit tore through the earth, creating a yin-qi-laden path several meters wide. Radiating golden light, it rode a skeletal beast tens of meters long, wielding a long halberd as it charged from the depths. The skeletal beast's hooves thundered as its tail swept through the air, shattering massive boulders into dust and rubble. A corpse spirit, its back impaled with two war banners, each bearing an army of undead souls, stood several meters tall. Its body radiated corrosive energy, causing the ground beneath its feet to hiss and bubble with netherworld corpse water. Within moments, the surrounding mountains were swarming with dead spirits, many of them immensely powerful. Lu Jingshan remained calm, his willpower enveloping Qin Zhengyang. Gathering so many fallen spirit powerhouses, are you planning to kill me here? I advise you not to misjudge the situation and make a decision you'll regret for the rest of your life. Second young Master Lu, you misunderstand. I've always been cautious, which is why I've survived this long. How could I not prepare against potential schemes from Thousand Mile Mountain? Qin Zhengyang replied with a smile, then instructed a Diax spirit to approach with a box of blood crystals. Lu Jingshan didn't even glance at the box. Jing Shen, stop being stubborn and accept this money. You don't need it, but the families of the deceased do. Hearing this, Li Wei finally showed a resentful expression as he accepted the box of blood crystals. Qin Zhengyang said, I hope second young Master Lu understands that returning this payment is already the greatest gesture of goodwill the Taiyan sect can offer. The true disciple values friendship, especially with intelligent individuals. If Chu Yutian himself came, I might actually sense his sincerity, Lu Jingshan said dismissively. A cold glint flashed deep within Qin Zhengyang's eyes as he caught Lu Jingchen's unspoken implication, "You're not worthy of my attention." His earlier humility had only earned him the other man's contempt. Li Wei gathered the corpses scattered on the ground. Seeing Lu Jingchen and Lu Jingchen preparing to descend the mountain, Qin Zhengyang's voice deepened, "Hold on. This venerable one has one more question for the Earth Ranking's chief scribe." "Speak." Lu Jingchen replied without turning, his disdain palpable. In the scribe's eyes, Qin Zhengyang asked, "What position could this venerable one attain on the immortal Earth Ranking? Do people like you even care about such things?" Lu Jingchen retorted. Qin Zhengyang's aura intensified, the primordial mark between his brows glowing ever brighter. "If one lives in this world without pursuing fame and fortune, what's the point? To be denied recognition in both character and power, that's the ultimate failure. At least you have a clear understanding of yourself," Lu Jingchen remarked. "With your strength, you should be able to make it onto the Earth Ranking." Li Wei glanced at Lu Jingchen, sensing the deliberate contempt in his tone. He must have an ulterior motive. "Is that all?" Qin Zhengyang asked. Lu Jingchen smiled. "That's all. It seems the scribe doesn't truly understand my strength. The so-called immortal ranking is a profound disappointment." Qin Zhengyang's voice carried an increasingly potent sonic force. Li Wei felt a drumming in his ears and turned to look. He saw Qin Zhengyang, who had somehow risen dozens of meters into the air, radiating a brilliant, sun-like radiance that illuminated the surrounding mountains and banished the darkness. The sheer power of his aura was overwhelming, sending scorching waves through the air that ignited the dark vegetation of the mountains. The army of the dead retreated, some forced to their knees by the oppressive pressure of his immortal realm aura. "I humbly request the scribe's guidance." Qin Zhengyang's voice erupted with even greater intensity. This time, even Luo Pingdan and Xie Wumian immediately retreated. The immortal realm's first realm was a world unto itself, and they regarded it with profound caution. Lu Jingchen's spiritual qi blocked Qin Zhengyang's sonic attack, but Li Wei still felt the psychic shock of the man's willpower assault. It instilled in him a terrifying sense that the sky was about to collapse and the end of the world was at hand. It was all because he and Lu Jingchen were standing together, right in the area of the strongest willpower attack. Any other first realm immortal realm martial mystic cultivator would likely have succumbed to the willpower attack, paralyzed by fear and fleeing for their lives. Thanks to the Fusong Divine Tree Spirit Light, Li Wei managed to withstand the onslaught, but he felt like a tiny flame struggling against a raging storm. Even as Li Wei battled the battle technique intent, a blinding light erupted before his eyes, obliterating all his senses. Qin Zhengyang materialized just a few feet away, his overwhelming qi crashing down like a collapsing mountain as he unleashed the perfected fourth layer of the heavenly sun earthly fiend fist. Sizzle. His fist burned like a miniature sun, the scorching heat melting the rock and soil beneath their feet. Boom. Lu Jingchen intercepted Qin Zhengyang's fist strike, his wrist twisting as the scripture on his palm swirled like a vortex of clouds, dissipating the brutal force of the impact. While blocking Qin Zhengyang's attack, he still managed to divert a portion of his power to shield Li Wei beside him. In the next instant, Lu Jingchen's icy aura surged, his long hair whipping wildly as he surged forward, forming a second palm strike. Heavenly Sun Earthly Fiend fifth layer. Sensing the killing intent radiating from Lu Jingchen, Qin Zhengyang immediately unleashed his most powerful Dao technique. Having mastered the fifth layer fist technique, Qin Zhengyang's heavenly sun shone brightly from his brow, while the earthly fiend surged within his ancestral field. He unleashed both fists simultaneously, the two streams of martial mystic qi twisting together, merging into one, and colliding with the palm strike Lu Jingchen had conjured. Boom. The shockwave of martial mystic qi rippled outward, spreading beyond the dangerous mountains of the Nether Realm. Qin Zhengyang's body shot backward like a meteor, hurtling over 5 kilometers. Lu Jingchen pursued him with equal speed, unleashing a third palm strike in midair. During this clash, Li Wei couldn't even follow the exchange. He only saw Qin Zhengyang's body flying several kilometers before slamming into the side of a massive mountain with a deafening thud. The mountain trembled slightly. Roar. The surrounding army of the dead roared in unison, their fiendish qi surging skyward, as if they wanted to tear Lu Jingchen apart. Luo Pingdan and Xie Wumian exchanged cold glances, summoned their spiritual artifacts, and flew toward the mountain where Qin Zhengyang had crashed. Qin Zhengyang emerged from the mountain, his imposing figure still radiating undiminished power. He glared at Lu Jingchen, who hovered calmly in the air. It seems second young Master Lu hasn't let go of this grudge. I sensed your killing intent just now. You think resolving this feud is so simple? Lu Jingchen retorted, the terms of resolution are mine to dictate. Now that I've vented my anger, we're even. Lu Jingchen landed beside Li Wei, glancing back at Qin Zhengyang, who stood miles away. To withstand 3 of my strikes without flinching, remaining upright, proves your strength. I underestimated you earlier. Jing Shen, let's go. A group of fallen spirit powerhouses blocked their path, some wielding yin soldier artifacts, others cradling ghost flames in their hands. Let them pass, Qin Zhengyang commanded. Lu Jingchen and Li Huai swiftly reached the shore, boarded the silver chariot waiting there, and the chariot raced across the sea, speeding toward Dragon Island at full speed. Inside the chariot, Lu Jingchen fully extended his willpower, his gaze grave. The intelligence was flawed. Qin Zhengyang's cultivation went awry, leaving him with an incurable injury. He must have spread that false information himself. He bears no wounds, no weaknesses. Li Huai, well aware of this, felt his heart sink, a sense of urgency rising within him. Qin Zhengyang's demonstrated power was terrifying. He had mastered the fifth layer of the great technique. Only Lu Jingchen, the foremost figure within the 10,000-mile tower under 100 years old, could force him into a disadvantage. If Tang Wanzhou attempted an assassination based on this flawed intelligence, she would be in grave danger. Lu Jingchen said, however, my third strike just now struck his chest, damaging his qi. For the next 3 days, his spiritual qi circulation will be severely impaired. He was merely putting on a show of normalcy in front of everyone. Li Huai retrieved the cosmic pouch containing the corpse and the blood crystal box. I have to go. You can't leave the carriage yet, Lu Jingchen said, there's a ghost shadow following us. We need to maintain the act. Li Huai had initially planned to risk sneaking back or dispatch 7th Phoenix to monitor Qin Zhengyang's every move. But hearing Lu Jingchen's words, he forced himself to calm down and enter a state of rational thought. Lu Jingchen took the cosmic pouch containing the corpse. Keep the blood crystal box. This isn't a gift, it's your due for the risks you took with me tonight. Li Huai subtly lifted his eyelids, finally grasping the true depth of the Earth Ranking's chief scribe's prowess. He saw through the facade without exposing it, helping others while making them feel like they were the ones offering assistance. This was the mark of a true master. Tang Wanzhou had been leaving the heavenly pavilion daily. While others remained unaware of her activities in the city, Lu Jingchen couldn't have escaped the 10,000-mile tower and ascended to its pinnacle if he hadn't noticed even this. Among the immortal realm experts, he was the most outstanding figure of the younger generation. Yet his true age was already 80 years old. Qin Zhengyang pressed his hand against his chest, feeling the searing pain in his lungs. He regretted giving his armor to the puppet. Had he been wearing it, Lu Jingchen would never have wounded him so severely. Envoy Zhongwu, Luo Pingdan said calmly, Lu Jingchen is far too arrogant and unreasonable. He needs to be taught a lesson. Arrogant, yes, Xie Wumian replied, but the Earth Ranking's chief scribe truly lives up to his reputation. Qin Zhengyang gestured for silence, released his Dao heart manifestation, and then spoke, we must be more cautious. The fact that we were located so silently today should serve as a warning. Our previous plans may have been compromised. We need to change our strategy. Envoy Yin, you've exhausted your psychic power. Stay behind tonight and provide support from the sea. Here's how I propose we adjust our strategy. Lu Jingchen's silver carriage landed at a secluded bay, 30 miles from the West Ferry. Li Huai stepped out of the carriage, ready to depart. Take care, Lu Jingchen said, leaving only these 2 words as the carriage sped away. Until we meet again, Li Huai replied, watching the carriage disappear before hurrying toward the West Ferry. Lu Jingchen undoubtedly believed he and Tang Wanzhou were acting together. In reality, Li Huai had no idea how to find her or deliver the information. His only option was to head to the West Ferry first. Arriving at the ferry, Li Huai surveyed the scene and immediately felt a splitting headache coming on. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel.